Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. Let's talk about somatic healing therapy. What is it? Why does it work? What is the difference between EMDR, brain spotting, and trauma spotting? So if you follow me, you know I love all things healing and maximizing your potential. And trauma healing seems to be one of the most important factors in our current day and age to being able to step into our purpose, reach our highest potential, and live the life that we dream of. So how do we do that? Somatic healing therapy is necessary. Somatic means of the body. And so when we have wounding or conditioning or traumas, it is housed in the body, and the body keeps the score. And beautiful people like Dr. Basil Van der Kolk and Dr. Gabor Mate have been very outspoken about the need for somatic healing and the power of EMDR. That is the foundation, or sort of the forerunner of the somatic healing therapies. There's debate. You could say somatic experiencing came first, but regardless, EMDR is the one that's being touted right now. In my experience, having to heal a vast amount of trauma, I have tried all of them and would like to present to you the experience that I had with them, and as well as how it led to trauma spotting and why I find that to be the most effective. So, like I said, somatic healing therapy is necessary to heal complex trauma. It also, don't let that sort of get in the way. If you feel like I have blocks and wounds, but I don't necessarily have experienced trauma or identify as having trauma, don't let that get in the way, because the somatic healing therapies will work for you for getting at the root causes of those blocks. Interestingly enough, the nervous system is intimately connected with the limbic system, which is sort of what drives the subconscious brain. And so in our effort to overcome these things that seemingly hold us back, we're going to need to be able to work with the limbic system and the nervous system. So if you feel like I've got these blocks, but I can't quite find them, they live in my blind spot, or you feel like I keep self-sabotaging and I don't know why, or I keep attracting the same unhealthy, toxic relationships and I can't figure out why, or you've been through a toxic relationship with a narcissist and you're really trying to recover and regain your strength, somatic healing therapies will work for you. So whether or not you experience complex trauma, we could just put that on the shelf. It doesn't really matter. I do have a video if you want to check that out, 21 signs you might have complex trauma. Go ahead and search that. But otherwise, I'll say here, if you did not feel safe, seen, heard, cared for, or loved for an extended period of time, whether it was in childhood or in school age years with your peers or with your teachers or through the military, or again, a toxic relationship, you're opening trauma loops that need to be closed. And those live in your body, and your body has to exert a lot of energy to be able to hold on to those and to move through life without re-triggering them and seemingly causing yourself additional pain. So that's why somatic healing therapies are so beautiful, because we tend to live guarded and in a reactive state when we have unhealed trauma, versus being free to be open, to be seen, to be proud, to be confident, to have trust in ourselves and a beautiful, intimate relationship with our tuning fork of discernment that is the body. So let's talk about them. What are they, right? EMDR versus brain spotting versus trauma spotting. And I'll start with EMDR because that's the one that is touted the most. It was the first of the three, and it is the most studied so far. EMDR is the foundation for brain spotting. EMDR, it combined somatic experiencing and called it brain spotting. Then from there was born trauma spotting. So trauma spotting, you could say, is a combination of EMDR, brain spotting, somatic experiencing, and energy healing. So I'll start with explaining EMDR and we'll work our way up. So all three of these therapies use a pointer. Yes, I sometimes shock people when I pull this out. I have also heard it referred to as the magic wand, because it does seem to create magic in people's lives. Either way, the eyes influence how we feel. The eyes are directly connected to the limbic system through the optic nerve, which runs straight back unimpeded. So fascinatingly enough, where you look is influencing how you feel. So what we do is in EMDR or all three of these therapies, we set the frame. Setting the frame means we identify the topic that we want to work on, the thing we want to talk about, the memory, the issue, the emotional charge, however you present it. Your therapist or your practitioner will help you sort of set the frame and identify the emotional trigger. Once you've identified what you want to discuss and you've identified the emotional trigger, at that point, you go into the body. I get ahead of myself. That is part of brain spotting. EMDR does not do that. We just identify the emotional trigger, and then we bring out the pointer and we move the pointer. And in moving the pointer, and I'm going to oversimplify because I am not an EMDR practitioner, I have just experienced it myself in therapy. But in that moving, it is said that we are syncing the hemispheres, the right and the left hemisphere of the brain, and we're allowing it to come to resolution or to find resolve. Now, for me personally, I found EMDR to be very, very activating, agitating, triggering, and even distressing in some cases. So that's why I was really happy to find Brainspotting, because Brainspotting to me was so much softer and smoother. So if you have followed me for a while, you know I was profoundly in awe of Brainspotting when I found it. I did 2 videos shortly after first becoming certified. I'll try to link those at the end of this video so that you can go check those out. What you should know is the filming of those videos, I did not realize at the time that what I was experiencing was more of a trauma spotting response than it was a brain spotting response. And that is different for me because of the spiritual element and the energy healing element. Regardless, brain spotting is still amazing. I am level 2 certified in brain spotting. That's how much I love it. So the difference between EMDR and brain spotting, again, is that somatic experiencing, like I keep trying to get to, because I get so excited about it, because the body is the key. And so in brain spotting, we do the same thing. We set the frame, we identify the issue, we find the emotional trigger, but we also go into the body and notice what area of your body is activated when you are discussing or thinking about this issue or recalling this memory. And so the area of the body that activates with the emotional charge tells us where the trauma is. So again, we'll do the same thing, but we'll do it very, very slowly. We'll find what area is most activated by the pointer, right? So if we have set the frame, identified the issue, and located a sensation in our body, then we start moving the pointer and notice, how does this sensation in the body shift and change? So if it can be seen by the practitioner, it can be communicated by the client, doesn't really matter. But let's say this is the point. From there, we just hold our awareness on the sensation in the body, and the body will naturally heal itself. Now, this is the difference between brain spotting and trauma spotting. From there, your practitioner is calling in the divine support. There's a strategy for how we set up the energy, cleanse the energy, call in the support, and receive the guidance, whether it's visual or audible or physical. There's all sorts of different recommendations that come through source on how the practitioner can support the client. And so the setting of the frame, identifying the issue, locating it in the body, and then the angelic realm, the divine support, and whoever else presents in that session will help assist in pulling it up and out of the body, or mending the heart, or supporting those who feel alone, or removing the burdens from the shoulders of those who feel like it's all up to them. If I could go on and on about the variations of the energetic support that comes through, but that's really the biggest difference. I found EMDR to be abrasive. Brain spotting was quite a bit softer. Trauma spotting was just taking it to a whole new level. And the way I realized that this was happening, I did not come up with this on my own. I can't take credit for what the divine delivered through me. But what I realized was, when I went through level 1 certification, I thought I was doing what they had taught me, and yet inadvertently, in my experience with working with the angelic realm and just communication with the divine and calling in support, years of meditation prior to that, I didn't realize until I went back for level 2 certification that I was doing something very different than those other brain spotting practitioners were doing. And it really presented itself when I was in one of the practice sessions with another therapist who worked with struggling teens. And she came to a point where she could not process anymore. She butt up against this belief that the world is suffering. The world will always suffer. Humans will always suffer. And it's completely impossible to avoid this thing that is painful. A painful life is essentially what she was struggling with. And I wanted to offer her the option or the opportunity to open her eyes to the infinite potential that if our creator created everything we see around us, and we are made in the likeness of our creator, we are creators ourselves. Does that not mean that we have infinite potential, that we have the opportunity to tap into wealth and abundance and bliss and joy and peace, that life does not always have to be suffering? And yet I just simply posed, knowing she was not spiritual, simply posed the question, are we certain that life means suffering? Are we certain that we will always have to suffer? And she said, yes. And she sort of reiterated, she was clear that was her boundary. She was not going. And so I had to back off. I could not support her in the way that I typically support my clients. And she had to stop there. There was no more healing or growth available to her because she could not believe that infinite potential exists, let alone receive the energetic support that was being offered to her. So I think that pretty much clarifies what is somatic healing therapies, what is EMDR, what is brain spotting, and how does trauma spotting work? How is it different? I get this question all the time. And so I really wanted to just pop in and answer the question. Again, please do drop comments below if you have any additional questions. I'm happy to answer them. All of this is answered in the trauma spotting and trauma 101 course that I offer. I'm sure that link will be below, but more so, I just really wanted to bring your awareness to the fact that somatic healing therapies are life-changing, beyond life-changing, life-saving, meaning I don't want to live that life anymore where I'm just surviving, just getting by, that it is possible to thrive, and no amount of wounding or trauma or pain can keep you down if you're willing to believe in the possibility that something like this could work for you. So whether or not you try EMDR or brain spotting or trauma spotting is no skin off of my back. I just love you guys, and I love our community, and I want freedom for us all. I want peace for us all. I want happiness. And that's why I do this, because my life and my upbringing was extremely painful, and I don't want anybody to have to experience what I experienced. And it took me 40 plus years to figure out how to get to this state. And I don't want you to have to spend 40 years of suffering trying to figure it out either. So do know that I tried everything. I tried hypnosis and QHHT and meditations and affirmations and tarot card readings and astrology and psychic readings and shamanic readings. And I mean, every healing you can imagine, I've done it. And yes, they did make marginal improvements, but there was nothing like this. And it's not because this is what I do. This is what I do because it was so profoundly life-changing. And I will say that I tried to start a business and I couldn't do it. I couldn't show up. I couldn't be seen. I couldn't risk judgment. I couldn't risk rejection. I could barely articulate my words clearly because I would stumble over the fear that lived inside of me, the nervous system state that could not handle what I was attempting to do. And so I know what it feels like to be shut down and hijacked by a nervous system and a limbic system that is trying to keep you safe, but inadvertently sabotaging you. And so I want you to know that this can be life-changing if it resonates for you. Ask your body, right? Ask your body, is this right for me? And feel in your body that yes or no, because your body is highly intelligent. Your body is a beautiful, beautiful vessel. I like to call her the mother that nurtures and holds my soul. If you have that desire to feel like you are finally home, if you want to come home to yourself, you want to feel whole and complete and at peace with yourself and in the world, regardless of what chaos is going on around you, it is possible. You can get there. And remember, you do have a dream that was put on your heart for a reason. It is safe to trust the guidance of your desires. The divine put them there for a reason to guide you towards your purpose. You can realize your dreams. You can live a life that you love, not just you tolerate, but that you love. It is possible for you. It is possible for all of us. And I'm here in service of you to help you achieve that. So I love you, my friends. Let me know if there's any questions. I'm happy to do a part 2 or just post comments below. All right. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.